Hello Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, I was just switching my light off after making a video, and I noticed the Steve Shives video, Highway to Hell, was work as hell. Highway to Heaven, sorry, was work as hell. Highway to Hell is the AC/DC song, an Australian band. Highway to Heaven was a TV series in the 80s, and the video was titled Highway to Heaven was work as hell. And I'm like, yeah, it was. A lot of shows were. And I find it fascinating that the people trying to push the culture wars and the pop culture wars are trying to act like woke is a new thing and it's some sort of threat, because they can't be honest and say, no, these ideas and that have been here for decades and generations, because then people would realise, oh, it hasn't hurt me, nothing bad's happened by having women have equality and gay people have rights and all this sort of stuff. You got to convince them, convince the unintelligent, uneducated people that it's a new thing that's going to change everything and it's a threat. So they pretend like shows like Highway to Heaven didn't exist, and they act like Star Trek didn't invent woke in the 60s. I mean, it was the original, diversity and representation show. And they act like it's a new thing and they're ruining Star Trek by including it, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, what? I was sort of watching some older shows, and I'm like, I grew up being told girls could do anything boys could do, and there are always strong women in shows and leading shows, and I don't know where this idea came from, because it's double-sided, where you have the people saying it's a threat, beware, and also the other people who want to take credit for it, like, oh, we invented it, we did this, see how we're saving the world. And it's like, no, there were strong females well before you brought out your Mary Sues and your very because there's an organic way to have a strong woman, and then there's a fake, weird, not genuine way to do it, which just is weird. So you sort of have both sides attacking the same thing, and both sides pretending like that it's a new problem. One that invented it to try and get credit, and one that is trying to protect you all from it because it's a threat. And it's just really funny and ridiculous. And I was just watching some old shows a while ago, and I'm like, wow, I forgot that, they talked about all the same things they're talking about now in the 80s and the 90s, and no one said anything about it because there wasn't this, fake pop culture war happening where people were trying to, with an agenda, trying to act like things are actually dangerous when they're not. I'm trying to think of specific examples, but shows like Charlie's Angels and stuff like that, and I'm drawing a bunch of blanks. I just remember watching something a while ago, and all the women were just strong, and they weren't, the patriarchal, examples that you'd think that, women never spoke out, never had any TV shows, never had any roles on TV. Now, there certainly was misogynism, and there certainly were shows that needed positive female and minorities representation that didn't have it. But there were also a lot that did, that were deliberately trying to establish that, particularly in the 70s and then into the 80s. And people act like it just didn't exist for the reasons I said before, where they try and act like it's either a new threat that you got to worry about, or they want to take credit for it like they invented it when it was there the whole time. So that I just was switching my camera off and the light off, and I'm like, you know what? I remember feeling the same way. I remember watching old shows and going like, wow, this is really progressive. And I just wanted to show that to the people who are acting like this is a new thing. It's like the people who were complaining about, female role models in science fiction horror movies who didn't know who Ellen Ripley was and things like that you just are like, seriously? But apparently it was a thing. So yeah, so I just had to talk about that for a minute. I just had to really point out that, this stuff is not new. It didn't hurt anyone, and it's been repackaged and rebranded by people in the pop culture wars for the complete opposite agendas. The people who want to take credit for it, and the people who want to make it a new threat. So you're scared, because if they, like I said, pointed out that, this has been around for 20, 30 years, it would occur to you that, gee, the sky didn't fall during that time, nothing bad happened. Why is this a problem? Why is this a threat? Oh, because it's a new thing that they're doing. And now it's a threat. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of, how new is wokeness? I mean, the whole idea of woke was that you weren't asleep, and minorities didn't have the privilege of sleeping. It was the white people who were asleep who didn't realise that people other than them were being discriminated against. And the whole idea of being woke is just simply to wake up to that sort of stuff, or have been aware of it and never slept in the first place. and people are acting like it's some political agenda that's going to... it's just the pop culture wars are kind of tiring. When you hear the arguments for the first time, they're either scary or interesting or curious, but once you've heard them repeated over and over again, for every issue and every topic and every IP, and have them just, reshaped and moved around and repackaged, it just becomes really tired, and you think, who is falling for this, really? I understand why the first few people kind of, fell for the repackaging and stuff, but who's really still buying this? I don't know, but I'm going to go watch Highway to Heaven.